Welcome to She Does Tech, where we tell the stories of women in tech, particularly those who are in roles that are often lacking as many women. I'm really excited to be here today with Ing Mulkarat. Ing is in GRC at Box, and Ing has a very interesting approach to how she got into GRC that I'm really excited to explore. But I'm going to go ahead and let you, Ing, tell a little bit just about yourself. Tell us a little about who you are, what you do at Box. What is that kind of day to day of GRC? And then we'll definitely want to explore your path to getting there.
Yeah, definitely. Hi, I'm Mulkarat. Right now, I am a senior manager in policies and standards at Box, here in the Bay Area. And my day to day, the responsibility, the focus is around leading the strategy and implementation of the policy program, just to ensure that we meet the industry standard and also align with compliance requirements to support our products, right? And,
Mhm.
directing the team on policy lifecycle management to ensure the accuracy, traceability, and reliability of our policy content. Another part of the work is just also focus on the awareness and understanding of that policy content because we put a lot of time and energy and coordination across the team to ensure that our policy content is single source of truth. So we want to ensure that our employees also know what it is, where it is, and how to find it. So that's kind of like a short, description of the work that I'm doing at Box.
Yeah, and that is really quite complex work that you and I were talking a little bit offline, but just about doing translation across the globe and making sure that everybody can equally understand those policies and how important that is. And as a global company, you guys are dealing with all sorts of regulations. So there's a lot to your policy. So I know that's a complex world. I would love to hear from you. You told me a little bit about when you were, going into college and what you knew you wanted and how that actually did. You didn't grow up saying, I want to be in charge of policies and GRC, but you kind of knew where you wanted to go. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is a long story, and you are right. Like I didn't grow up thinking or knowing that I want to be in GRC. And I don't think anybody would because as a kid, how could you know about GRC, which is a specific area in, this in cybersecurity or legal, right? So
Mhm.
you don't know about it. But like growing up, I just know that I like to explore. And I originally am from Thailand. So I grew up in Thailand and I would like to explore the other side of the world, which is exactly in America. And I want to know what it's like to be here, to study here, to work here. So I don't know which area I want to be in, but I know where I want to be. And I think I'll go from there. Like I want to explore. So I focus on getting myself here through scholarship. Since it's really pricey to be here as an international student. Um, and so with that scholarship is kind of I use that as a starting point and explore my way just to see what are the scholarships out there and the area that I interested in. So like once I gather this scholarship, okay, this one sounds good or not good. Like if I know that I hate, I wouldn't go for it. But if I'm like, oh, I don't know much about this, but it doesn't hurt to try. So that's how I go from there because my background, like I was 100% in science. It's called packaging technology, and it's kind of combination between material science and supply chain management and packaging design. It's like an
Mhm.
interesting mix. But I know that I at the time I don't want to be in that field anymore. I worked in that field for a year, knowing that this is not what I want, and I also want to explore more. So I start looking for like a change of career path, anything and not in science anymore, but anything that I can build my career in, anything that interesting and also has scholarship available. So I found this one in communications and sciences. It's called information and communication sciences, and it is at this Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, is a master program that offering a graduate assistantship to international students. It's kind of like learning opportunity plus, free program, and it's very intensive master program. It's a combination between IT and management. So the program is designed for someone who want to be a manager. And I went for it. I got that opportunity. I came all the way here. I worked for a professor, got it done in 1 year. And when I said, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but it's free and it's only 1 year. So I took that as an opportunity to learn whether or not this is gonna be a path going forward, and ended up that I think it's very interesting field. And once I get into my first job, um, I started as an engineer. You can call that networking engineer or like voice over IP network engineer. And then from there, I switched into security operations. And the year that I switched to security operations was the year that started to be a lot of like hacking. You see the news like this company got hacked, this company got hacked. So during that time, security field become really popular. And I felt like, okay, this is exactly where that I need to be. However, the day-to-day job is not my favorite because when I'm in security operations, it's 100% technical. I have four monitors in front of me. I didn't get to interact much on the business side, which I like to. So I explore again more, but within the same company to see what else out there. And then I get to learn from a senior manager and a director of GRC. And basically at time, I had no idea what it is. So I start having more like a mentor mentee kind of knowledge builder relationship, and I get to learn more about it. And I am more and more interested in the field. So eventually like that asks for a switch to switch to SecOps to GRC team and start from there. And that's when I get to learn a lot from governance perspective, risk management, compliance, and I grew my career from there. And I still in GRC since, so that was 2013. So it's over 10 years now since I've been in GRC.
Something that just struck me when we first talked about this was your ability to say, this is what I want, and you seek that path to what is it that will get you what you want, and being able to pursue that. And I keep hearing people, and I put something on LinkedIn about this recently, but a lot of people looking for like, how do I get into GRC? What would you recommend to somebody who either is wanting to make a career change or is young and looking to start their career, who might want to follow in some ways in your footsteps or somewhere nearby what you're doing?
So if you are in a job already, and if your job is not GRC, but you're interested in the GRC, I would recommend that exploring your company first, because there's always a GRC team. You may or may not know about it, but there's a GRTC team in your company, like most likely. So you can start building that relationship or networking with them. Maybe start with learning what day to day is like to be a GRC professional. And maybe once you learn about it, you might find out, oh, I don't want to do that, right? Or yes, I wanted to. But another part that I had an opportunity to do so, and I would encourage if you do have that opportunity, is volunteer helping with project with the team that you're interested in. Because at the time that I was in security operations, I was volunteering to help with the SOX audit
Hmm.
um, at the time because the lack of staff. And I think it's a great opportunity to like integrate myself into that world. So I start from there and I get to learn more projects along the way. So eventually, with my help into those projects is kind of like a way to prove myself to the team that I can do the job within that space, and eventually formally ask to move from this team into that team. So I would recommend if you have a job already, like use that path. If you don't have a job, if you just like you still a student, or you just graduated and you don't know where to start, I would just say first, like building your knowledge in GRC because it's such a specific area in the industry. So sometimes like my first approach before I have my first job is like, how can I convince someone that I know something or I'm willing to learn and grow into that space? So you look and pick a certification that is reliable, like people know about it, but it's not too hard for you to get
Mm-hmm.
based on your level. You cannot just go straight to CISSP, for example, day one. So look
Mm-hmm.
for something that GRC related and get that one on your resume first. So at least you can prove to hiring manager or, recruiters at like, I'm interested in this area and I take that seriously. I went ahead and I learned about it. I take certification, I passed and I want to
Yeah.
continue learning and growing into this area, that's a good start. And then once you have that, or even before you have that, like explore maybe through LinkedIn or to your network to see who else in GRC that you want to like reach out to or learn from them. And then
Yeah.
look for an opportunity. Opening opportunity is always out there. And you just need to you build yourself, be ready for the opportunity when it comes so you can just grab it.
I love that. Build yourself and be ready for the opportunity. I think that's a great way to put it. You're so we've been saying GRC, and maybe for somebody who's listening, if they don't know what that is, governance, risk, and compliance, I'll say that. But what does that mean? How about you describe briefly what GRC is to somebody who's not familiar, if they might be exploring what they want to do and maybe learning from us, this is something they might be interested in.
Mhm. So governance, risk, and compliance, even though like we keep saying GRC is not one thing, it's a
Yeah.
three different things or more than three different things at least, right? But at a high level, I like to say that GRC is the bridge between business and legal and security.
Hmm.
Because, you have the industry certifications that you need to uphold in your company. Some of them is mandatory and legally required. Some of them is more like for your company to show that we have the standards, we have the process, we have the security in place that we can protect the customer data, and that's how we sell our product, right?
Yeah.
So all the technical part of maintaining these certifications or requirements sometimes it's not easy to translate into the business size of your company. So GRC just sit there and try to translate between security
Yeah.
and the business. So we like I like to say that we like the bridge between that. But to give you a little bit of more detail, so the governance, or sometimes, it could be policies and governance. So this team is ensure the consistency across the company. If it's a policy team like my team, you might think of it as like documentation, but it's
Hmm.
not just that. It's a lot more alignment that you need to work with your stakeholders, making sure the content is reliable, and you need to bring that information to the right person within the company and make sure that they understand and align so that you don't get into later on the road, you get audit and find out that there's some gaps within your process that you need to close. You should have closed it a long time ago if you know about the policy and requirements within the policy, right? And then the risk
Yeah.
management, your expertise now. Risk management is when you well, I like to think of the risk management as like the way for us to inform the senior leadership on how you're going to make informed decision on where you're going to put the budget into protecting your company, the company data. And you can't have that information unless you have a risk management team in place. And
Hmm.
then compliance team, of course, like people might think of like audit. Yes, but it's also more because each company would have a set of control requirements that they have to follow, either from like legal requirement perspective, like external obligations or internal obligations, because we like to hold our bar higher than the bare minimum, right? So that's why you have compliance team in place to check whether or not we have that process in place. Is it aligned with the control requirements? Will we meet the certification and uphold our certifications so that we can continue selling our product and ensure that customer can be confident in the data that they leave it to us.
I think you would do a great job teaching a class on this. You explained it very clearly. It's great. I really appreciate it. Is, do you think there is something about the way that you kind of maybe like your soft skills, who you are as a person, that makes you enjoy this work that might, by sharing that, might help inform somebody else out there if this is a
Mm.
fit for them?
Um, I believe that you have to be really good at collaborating with people and understanding where they are coming from. Put yourself in other people's shoes. If you talk to business side of your company, y- sometimes you need to understand that they may or may not be familiar with GRC. And so you need to like take a step further, know your audience and like be able to communicate your goals and intention of whatever process you wanted to implement to like clearly to them at their level.
Yeah.
And in the same time, you need to be technical enough or knowledgeable enough in your own area, or even get technical into the security part of it, encryption, or even with legal side of things too. So being knowledgeable, but ability to translate again, that complicated it points back to the business. And you cannot just, I think the ability to make people feel like they want to work with you and get the work done is very important.
Yeah, I think that as well. And being in tech, what's your first memory, or what's your that first memory of getting excited about something related to tech? Was it even in childhood, a game, or maybe it was as an
Mm,
adult getting to learn in school, but what's that first memory that you got excited about tech?
I would say it would be the first time that my dad came home with a computer.
Oh,
I
cool. How old were you?
yeah. Um, I would say I was in either the end of elementary or the beginning of probably middle school, probably middle
Okay.
school. And I think that's such a coolest thing ever. And then the internet, once you first have access to the internet, it just it changed the world, right? How you find information and how you get things done, how you get even your homework done. And I used to joke with my friends that, during college time or like the master program, how could we graduate without internet? Because you can learn a lot. There's resources out there for you. In the past, before that time, is library
Mm-hmm.
or newspaper or your class, right? But now there's a lot that you can learn. You can teach yourself. You can see what's going on. You can adopt new knowledge. You can get an answer for the most random things ever that you can get
Yeah.
from the internet. So yeah, that's I remember when my dad was like brought in and like we have the internet back in the time where um it's the modem and you still need to hear that noise
The
when you
dial,
try.
incredibly loud dial. Oh, that's very cool. Anything that I didn't ask that you want to add before we wrap up?
Maybe one last thing, I just want to encourage more people to be in GRC. It's a great field to be. I enjoy being in GRC. And if you're not sure, again, make sure that you go out there, we have technology now, right? Learn about it and make that decision to yourself. But I hope there's more people entering into the GRC field.
Well, Ing, I so appreciate you joining us on She Does Tech, and this was fantastic. And I look forward to seeing you in the near future here. Have a good
Thank you
one.
so much.